When television came into being in the early 50s, people were getting to see things for free on television, so they stopped going to the movies. So in order to get people to go back to the theaters, they decided, how do we fight it? Well, we fight it by making pictures bigger and more spectacular than people can see at home. So the movie industry started making the images wider with CinemaScope, Superscope, Technorama. Every studio had its own widescreen dimension process. But the other gimmick was to give a 3D effect to movies, which they could do, but television couldn't.
With 3D, you have to have information for the right eye and one for the left eye. And that information is done by shooting it with two cameras.
And there were two projectors pushing an image up on the screen, slightly overlapping and making it fuzzy. So if you were going into the theater without the glasses, it was a fuzzy image. But if you had these particular glasses on, that gave you a terrific headache, by the way, it would pull the images together and you got a 3D effect. They made a fortune.
Everybody who's making 3D movies used the technique of having something come right at the camera, you know. People punching the camera, objects flying at the camera, spears flying at the camera, all kinds of stuff, so the audience would go, ah!
The trick in producing a real good 3D effect is to have an object that is slender enough so that it could reach out into the audience without touching the frame. Now, as soon as it hits here, the illusion will draw back. You immediately will connect mentally this with this piece here, and you'll lose the 3D effect.
When Hitchcock made Dial M for Murder in '54, I mean, almost every movie being made was being done in either widescreen or in 3D. So Hitchcock was forced to make Dial M for Murder in 3D.
When you look at Dial M for Murder, you realize he's really staging it as you would a play. I mean, he is moving the actors rather than the camera. So the actors are walking towards the camera. He has foreground cutting pieces, so he's trying to give a lot of dimension.
It's theatrical in one way, but it uses 3D in the most extraordinary fashion. And if you can imagine those things in the foreground being the way they are in 3D, it was like theatre, actually, where they make up the flats on the wings in levels, but they're all two-dimensional. And that's what Dial M for Murder feels like. You have this sense that you are looking at the characters under glass.
There were all these ways he framed it so that there was a sense of proscenium, or a sense of something between you and the actor. He created this extraordinary 3D effect in ways that were not conventional, that really made you feel like you were there.
And then at very, very precise moments, dramatic moments, he had Grace Kelly's hand come out at you. He had the key come out at you, which was nicely done because it didn't become a sort of gimmick film. He wanted a real close-up. And evidently with the two-camera system, he couldn't get that close to a real phone and a finger. So being Hitchcock, you know, he came up with the idea of making a giant finger and a giant phone. So it was pretty strong impact to see that finger go towards the M.
In most theaters, you have one reel showing the movie while you're loading up this projector. That reel finishes, so this goes on to continue the movie. You're loading up this projector, that one goes on. But when 3D came out, it required both projectors working all the time. And most movie theaters had only two projectors, so they had to have an intermission in order to reload the projectors. That's the only reason that they have intermission in Dial M for Murder in the 3D version. However, by the time it was released, the gimmick got very tired very quickly with audiences. They were tired of the glasses because the strain of the images being blurred pulling in was a big strain on the eyeball. So theaters were given in 54 were in most cases given a choice on whether or not you would show a movie in 3D or flat. But if you had a really good movie like Dial M for Murder, you didn't need the 3D effect. It was still terrific.
Well, Hitchcock had been making those mystery kind of movies for a long time. And I think he saw an opportunity to utilize this new technology without making it a gimmick thing. And Dial M for Murder works as a movie just dramatically because the performances are quite good. And Hitchcock's direction is always wonderful. But it's a shame that we can't experience it in 3D. It would be nice to see those moments again, the emphasis on those dramatic moments in the film.
I did see the film in 3D when it was shown many, many years later, a couple of times. It's been shown in 3D. And it is an amazing experience to see it in 3D because Hitchcock, again, did it just right.